3 disturbing true winter horror stories. The Vanishing Tracks. A man named Daniel worked as a ranger in a remote national park. One winter, after a heavy snowfall, he was checking the trails when he noticed something strange: human footprints in the snow leading deep into the woods. Normally, this wouldn't be odd, but these tracks started in the middle of the path, as if the person had just appeared out of nowhere. Curious and uneasy, Daniel followed them for nearly a mile. Suddenly, they stopped. There were no signs of a struggle, no animal tracks, no return footprints, just an abrupt ending in the middle of an untouched snowy field. Baffled, Daniel radioed for backup, and they searched the area, but no one was ever found. A hiker had gone missing in that area a few years before under similar circumstances, and locals whispered that the forest had a habit of taking people. The cabin's second visitor. A woman named Emily was staying alone in her family's remote cabin in northern Canada. She had spent the day chopping wood and keeping the fire going, as the temperature outside was well below freezing. That night she locked up and went to bed, but just as she was drifting off, she heard knocking on the front door. Startled, she checked the time. It was past midnight, and the nearest neighbor was miles away. Peeking out the window, she saw nothing but snow falling. But when she opened the door slightly, there were fresh footprints leading up to her door, but none leading away. Heart pounding, she locked the door, grabbed a rifle, and stayed awake until dawn. The next morning, she followed the prints, but after only a few yards, they just stopped. No signs of retreat. No evidence of anyone leaving. She cut her trip short that day. 3. The Frozen Man. In the winter of 1997, a man named Carl was driving home from a late shift in rural Minnesota when he spotted a figure standing on the side of the snowy road. The person was dressed in an old-fashioned coat and hat, standing completely still, staring ahead. Thinking the person might need help, Carl pulled over and called out, but got no response. He took a few steps closer, and that's when he saw it. The man's face was covered in ice. His eyes were open, but they were lifeless, frozen solid. Panicked, Carl jumped back into his truck and sped off. When he told the police, they searched the area but found nothing, no footprints, no signs of anyone being there. Months later, Carl was talking to an old-timer at a local diner who told him that in the 1930s, a man had frozen to death along that same stretch of road. People had been seeing him ever since. Winter has a way of making the world feel silent and eerie. When the snow falls and the wind howls, sometimes, things walk among us that shouldn't be there. Stay warm and stay safe.